My sister lied about me for years, telling everyone I never helped mom and dad, that I was selfish and cold. She turned the whole family against me, and I felt invisible, betrayed, and angry. But last week, everything changed. I showed the truth, the messages, the bills, everything I did to care for them. And finally, the family saw her lies for what they really were. She couldn't hide it anymore, and the look on her face was priceless. You have to hear what happened next. It's heartbreaking, infuriating, and completely just. I still can't believe what happened. My sister lied about me for years, telling everyone that I never helped our parents. And last week, after everything blew up, the whole family finally saw the truth. It was shocking, heartbreaking, and somehow satisfying. Let me start from the beginning. My name is Mark. I'm 38, and I've always been the responsible child. Our parents are in their late 70s, living in a small house in Ohio. I've been helping them for years, fixing the roof, paying their bills, taking them to doctor appointments, even staying nights when they were sick. But my sister, Lisa, she always had a way of twisting things. She's 3 years younger than me, a charming woman who knows how to play the victim. It all started a few years ago when Dad fell and broke his hip. I was the first one to rush him to the hospital. I took weeks off work to care for him and Mom, rearranging my life just to make sure they were okay. But every time our relatives or friends asked Lisa how she was helping, she'd say, "Oh, Mark is doing everything. I try, but he's basically on his own." I brushed it off at first, thinking she just wanted a little recognition. But over time, it became clear she was building a story, one where I was the bad child, the one who didn't care. Things got worse when Mom started asking for help with finances. I helped her set up online banking, explain bills, and even covered some expenses she couldn't manage on her own. Meanwhile, Lisa would tell extended family that I was stingy and selfish, that I never sent money or spent time with them. "Mark is so cold," she'd say. "I'm the only one trying to help." I felt invisible. I felt betrayed. Then came last month's family reunion. I wasn't supposed to go at first, but Mom insisted. "Mark, you have to be there. They need to see you," she said. I didn't understand what she meant until I got there. The family room was packed, and as soon as I walked in, Lisa started her performance. "Oh, look, here's Mark," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "He claims he helps Mom and Dad, but honestly, do you think he does anything?" I froze. My hands tightened around my chair. The room went quiet, waiting for my answer. I took a deep breath and said, "Lisa, that's not true. I've been helping Mom and Dad every day. In fact, I just paid the water bill, fixed the garage door, and drove Dad to his appointment this morning." There was a pause, a long one. I could see the surprise in the eyes of our cousins, aunts, and uncles. For the first time, they weren't just hearing Lisa, they were seeing the facts. Then I showed them my messages, bills, and a calendar with every visit I had made to our parents. "Everything here is proof," I said softly, trying to keep my voice calm. "I've been helping. Lisa has known this, and she still told everyone I didn't care." The room was tense. You could hear the silence, broken only by Mom quietly whispering, "Thank you, Mark. Thank you for everything." And then, finally, Aunt Carol said, "Lisa, why would you lie like that?" Her voice was steady, but full of hurt. Lisa's face turned red. She stammered, I just thought everyone would understand. I didn't mean, but no one let her finish. The damage was done. Everyone saw the truth. I couldn't help but feel a mixture of anger and relief. For years, I had been painted as the villain, but now, for the first time, the family knew the real story. And I knew one thing for certain. This wasn't over. There were still conversations to have, apologies to demand, and lessons for Lisa to learn. The betrayal stung, but seeing justice finally unfold, it felt like a small, quiet victory. After the reunion, things didn't just calm down. If anything, the storm grew. I thought that showing the truth would make everyone finally understand, but Lisa wasn't going to go quietly. She looked at me that night with a mix of fury and disbelief. "You ruined everything," she hissed in my ear when no one was around. "Do you have any idea what you've done to me?" I froze for a second. Ruined everything? "Lisa, you've been lying for years. You told everyone I didn't care about mom and dad. That's not ruining. It's the truth finally coming out. My voice shook, partly from anger, partly from the stress of holding everything in for so long. She laughed, a bitter, sharp laugh. The truth? People don't care about your truth. They believe me. You think they'll just forgive you for ruining my reputation? I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to tell her that she had it coming, that she had been manipulating the family for years, but I stayed calm. Lisa, this isn't about reputations. This is about mom and dad. You've hurt them too, and it's time you face that. The next morning, Mom called me. Her voice was soft, almost fragile. Mark, I know you've always helped us, but we had no idea how much. I'm so sorry for believing Lisa sometimes. Can you come over? Of course I went. I drove the 30 minutes to their house, heart pounding. I needed to see them, to remind myself why I had endured all the lies, all the manipulation. When I got there, Dad was in his chair, looking at me with his usual calm, steady eyes. Mom hugged me tightly. I'm so proud of you, Mark. Thank you for everything, she whispered. And just like that, the heaviness I'd been carrying for years lifted a little. But it wasn't over. Lisa wasn't backing down. That same week, she called every cousin, every aunt, every family friend who had attended the reunion. She started her narrative again, claiming I had forced her out, that I was dominating the family, and that she had been overly dramatic, but it wasn't fair to attack her like this. People started texting me, confused, unsure who to believe. My chest tightened every time I saw a new message. Then came the first real turning point. Aunt Carol, the one who had confronted Lisa during the reunion, decided to dig deeper. She called me one evening. Mark, I've been thinking. I want to see everything. Your texts, your visits, your receipts. I need to know the truth for myself. I agreed immediately. For the next 3 nights, we went through my calendar, my messages, even photos of me at the pharmacy, at the doctor's, at the grocery store buying groceries for mom and dad. Aunt Carol was silent for long stretches, flipping through my phone. Then she looked at me and said, Mark, I had no idea. All these years, I thought Lisa was just exaggerating. But this is incredible. You've been doing everything. Tears welled up in her eyes. I'm so sorry you've been treated this way. Finally, word started spreading. Slowly, relatives who had been on Lisa's side began sending apologies. I had no idea, they said. I believed her without checking. And every time, I felt a mixture of relief and anger. Relief that the truth was finally out, anger at how much time had been wasted, how much trust had been broken. Lisa, of course, wasn't going to take this lying down. One afternoon, she confronted me at Mom and Dad's house. Her face was red, her hands trembling. You think you're so perfect, she shouted. You think showing receipts makes you the hero. But people still remember what I said first. I'm not done yet. I took a step closer, my voice calm but firm. Lisa, it's not about being perfect. It's about doing the right thing. You've lied for years, and now you have a choice. Apologize, or accept that people know the truth. She laughed, bitter and hollow. Apologize? Never. You don't understand how much I've sacrificed. I shook my head. Sacrificed? You mean lying and manipulating? That's not a sacrifice. That's cruelty. Mom stepped in then, her voice strong despite her usual softness. Lisa, we love you, but this stops now. We see the truth, and you need to accept it. We won't allow lies to continue hurting our family. Lisa looked around, her fury giving way to frustration, then something else, resignation. For a brief moment, I thought maybe she would finally reflect, but she stormed out, slamming the door. I didn't feel relief yet. I knew this wasn't the end of her schemes. Later that night, Dad came to me. Mark, you've done more than anyone could ask. You've been patient, kind, and honest. You've shown integrity. That matters more than any lie Lisa could tell. I nodded, feeling a lump in my throat. For the first time, I felt that the universe was on my side, that somehow, despite everything, the truth had started to take hold. But then came a next twist. A text from Lisa appeared on my phone. Just 3 words, "This isn't over." My stomach dropped. I knew she was plotting something, but I didn't know what. And that's when I realized this was far from finished. The family drama had only just begun. and Lisa's next move would be crucial. Would she finally be exposed completely, or would she continue to weave lies to protect herself? I had no choice but to stay vigilant, to protect my parents and the truth I had fought so hard to reveal. For now, though, I allowed myself a small moment of satisfaction. The family had seen the truth. The lies were crumbling, and deep down, I knew that karma had its own way of catching up. The days after Lisa's warning were tense. I couldn't relax, couldn't sleep properly. Every phone notification made my heart race. Mom and Dad noticed my anxiety. "Mark, you've done enough. Let her be," Mom said gently one evening, but I couldn't just let it go. Something told me Lisa had another plan. It didn't take long to find out. A few days later, Dad called me in a panic. "Mark, Lisa just came by. She's telling everyone you've been taking money from us without permission." I froze. My chest tightened, and for a moment, I felt that old, familiar weight of helplessness. "What?" I asked. "Dad, I haven't taken a cent that wasn't offered." "She's lying again." Dad nodded, his hands shaking. "She said you've been draining our accounts and buying things for yourself. People are calling, asking if it's true." I felt a surge of anger and disbelief. This was beyond manipulation now. This was slander. But I knew I had to act calmly. I couldn't let my emotions give her any advantage. The next day, I went to the bank with Dad and Mom. We met with the manager, went through every transaction, and printed out a complete history. I showed Dad and Mom every detail, every bill I'd paid, every grocery receipt, every small thing I'd bought for them. "See," I said, my voice firm, "everything is documented. There's nothing I've taken without your permission." Dad's eyes welled up. "I don't know how to thank you," he whispered. Meanwhile, Lisa didn't slow down. She had already contacted extended family again, trying to twist the narrative in her favor. "Mark is just controlling," she told them. "He wants to make us all believe he's perfect. He's taking advantage of Mom and Dad. You should be careful." It was exhausting, but I refused to react in kind. I knew that engaging in back-and-forth arguments with her would only make things worse. Then came the first major turning point. Aunt Carol, who had already been supporting me quietly, decided to confront Lisa directly. She called on the phone, her voice calm but cutting. "Lisa, stop lying. Everyone has seen the proof Mark has shown. We know the truth now. This behavior has to end." There was silence on the other end. Finally, Lisa snapped. "You don't understand. He's trying to ruin me. He's trying to make everyone hate me." Aunt Carol didn't back down. "Lisa, the only person being ruined here is yourself. People see through lies eventually. You can either admit it or keep digging yourself deeper." That call changed everything. Lisa became defensive and reckless. She started posting vague messages on social media, trying to subtly imply that I was dishonest. "Sometimes the truth isn't what it seems," she wrote. But this backfired. Relatives who had been unsure started questioning her credibility. Comments flooded in from cousins and friends. "Are you serious, Lisa? Mark has done so much for your parents. We've seen the texts and bills. Stop lying." The tension at home increased as well. Mom began crying more often, worried about Lisa's manipulations. "I don't know what to do," she said one afternoon. "I feel torn between my children." I held her hands. "Mom, I love Lisa too, but we can't ignore the truth. She's hurting herself and everyone around her." Then came an unexpected twist. I received a call from a distant relative I hadn't spoken to in years. "Uncle Joe." "Mark," he said, his voice low and serious. "I need to tell you something about Lisa. Something I saw years ago. She's always been capable of this kind of manipulation. And now, she's doing it again. You're not alone in this. The family will back you." I was stunned. For years, I had felt isolated, like no one really saw the truth. But now, with Uncle Joe stepping forward, I felt a spark of hope. Things escalated further when Lisa tried to create a confrontation during a family dinner. She accused me openly in front of everyone. "Mark, you think you're so perfect, taking care of Mom and Dad like a hero. But you're controlling. You manipulate everything." For a moment, the room was silent. I could feel all eyes on me, waiting. I took a deep breath and spoke slowly, clearly, and without anger. "Lisa, stop. You're lying. I've been helping our parents for years. Every visit, every bill, every doctor appointment. You know it's true. If you continue to lie, you'll only embarrass yourself further. I reached into my pocket and handed Mom a folder. Here, everything is here. The truth is documented. Look for yourself. Mom opened the folder and started flipping through it, her hands shaking. Dad leaned over, reviewing every document carefully. The tension in the room was almost unbearable. Lisa's face went from anger to shock to fear. She had no words left. Finally, Aunt Carol stood up. Lisa, it's over. Everyone can see what's real and what's lies. You need to take responsibility for your actions. For the first time, Lisa looked truly defeated. She slumped into her chair, silent. The room remained tense, but I could feel a shift. The family's loyalty was returning to the truth. And even though Lisa hadn't admitted anything yet, her power over the narrative was slipping. That night, I sat in my parents' living room, exhausted. Mom brought me a cup of tea. Mark, I can't tell you how proud I am, she said softly. You've endured so much. You've shown patience and integrity. That's worth more than anything Lisa could ever do. I smiled weakly, feeling a mix of relief and anticipation. The battle wasn't fully over. Lisa still had tricks up her sleeve, and I knew the next confrontation could be the most intense yet. But for now, the truth had gained ground, and that truth finally was on my side. I went to bed that night with a strange sense of calm. For the first time in years, I felt like justice was within reach. Lisa had underestimated me, underestimated the family, underestimated the power of truth. And soon, I knew everyone would see it. The next week felt like walking through a minefield. Lisa was quieter than usual, but I could feel her scheming. Every phone call, every message seemed like a trap. I kept telling myself to stay calm, to focus on the truth, but the tension was suffocating. Mom and Dad noticed my stress. Mark, don't let her get to you, Dad said one evening. You've done everything right. Let's just stay honest. I nodded, but deep down I knew this was far from over. Then came the night of the big confrontation. Mom had organized a small family gathering to celebrate her birthday. Cousins, aunts, uncles, even some distant neighbors were coming. Lisa arrived, dressed impeccably, her smile sharp and calculated. From the moment she walked in, I could feel the energy shift. She was determined to take control of the room, to rewrite the story yet again. Dinner started normally, with small talk and laughter, but I noticed Lisa watching me closely, her eyes calculating. Finally, she couldn't hold back. She slammed her fork down and said loudly, Mark, I can't believe you're acting like some perfect son. You've made us all believe you're the hero, but I know the truth. The room went silent instantly. Heads turned, forks paused midair. I felt my heart pounding, but I stayed seated, calm and collected. I took a deep breath. Lisa, it's not a story. Everything I've done for Mom and Dad is documented. You know it. Stop lying to everyone. She laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. Documented? You think pieces of paper make you right? People saw what I told them. They believe me. Aunt Carol, sitting across the table, leaned forward. Lisa, stop it. The truth isn't on paper alone. Everyone here has seen the difference between your stories and reality. Stop trying to twist it. Lisa's face turned red, her hands trembling. You don't understand. I've suffered so much, and now he's trying to erase me. I finally stood up. My voice was steady, louder than I had intended, filling the room. Erase you? Lisa, this isn't about erasing anyone. This is about honesty. For years, you've lied to protect yourself. You've hurt Mom, Dad, and the family with your stories. And now everyone knows. I paused, letting the words sink in. You can't rewrite history. You can't lie your way out of the truth anymore. There was a long, tense silence. Lisa's eyes darted around the room, looking for support, but no one was giving her any. Cousins whispered among themselves. Aunts and uncles exchanged glances. Mom's hands were folded tightly on the table, tears welling up in her eyes. Dad simply stared at Lisa, calm but resolute. Finally, Lisa lost control. She screamed, "You think you're so perfect. Everything is about you." Her voice cracked, and she started crying. The sudden vulnerability shocked everyone. Some of the relatives gasped. I felt a mix of pity and frustration, but I didn't move. I let her vent, knowing that this was the final unraveling of her lies. Aunt Carol stepped in, her tone firm but gentle. Lisa, enough. This ends now. We've seen the proof. We know it's real. You can continue to scream, but it won't change the truth. You need to take responsibility. Lisa's sobs turned into silence. She buried her face in her hands, unable to meet anyone's gaze. It was the first time in years that I saw her truly powerless. The room was heavy with tension, but also a strange sense of relief. The family was finally united by the truth, not divided by lies. Then, the unexpected happened. Uncle Joe, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. Lisa, I've known you since you were a child. I've seen your cleverness, your charm, your ability to manipulate. But I've also seen what honesty and integrity look like. You need to decide what kind of person you want to be. Right now, you're destroying yourself. His words hit her like a lightning bolt. She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. Mom finally spoke, her voice soft but firm. Lisa, we love you, but we won't allow lies to harm this family anymore. You can apologize, or you can continue down this path and lose our trust forever. Lisa looked around the room, her face pale. For the first time, I saw hesitation, doubt. The power she had clung to for years was slipping away. She realized that no amount of charm or manipulation could undo the truth. Then, something remarkable happened. Slowly, she whispered, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I was scared. Her voice broke, and the room held its collective breath. I took a deep breath, my body still tense. Lisa, it's not too late. Apologize, and we can move forward. But the lies have to stop. She nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. I'm sorry, Mark. I was wrong. I shouldn't have lied. I see now. You've always been there for Mom and Dad. The room exhaled, the tension slowly dissolving. Cousins nodded. Aunts and uncles murmured in agreement. Mom and Dad hugged both of us, their faces wet with tears. Dad's voice was steady but full of emotion. Finally, the truth is out. That's all that matters. That night, I went to bed exhausted but strangely calm. The confrontation had been the most intense moment of my life. Lisa had tried every trick, every manipulation, every lie. But in the end, honesty, patience, and persistence had won. The family was finally whole again, and the truth had been restored. For the first time in years, I felt peace. Lisa had learned her lesson the hard way, and I knew that from this point forward, there could be no more lies, no more manipulation. Karma had caught up, and the family had seen justice done. The days after that night were quieter, but the tension had not fully disappeared. Lisa was subdued, quieter than I had ever seen her, and I could tell she was reflecting on everything. For once, there were no whispers behind my back, no sly comments to relatives, no manipulative texts. The air in the house felt lighter, as if a heavy cloud had finally lifted. Mom and Dad were overjoyed but cautious. Mark, thank you for everything, Mom said, sitting across from me at the kitchen table. You've done more than any of us could have asked. We just want peace now. I smiled, though my body was still tense from the past weeks. I want that too, Mom. And Dad, thank you for trusting me. Dad nodded slowly, his eyes soft. You've been strong, patient, and honest. That matters more than you'll ever know. Lisa, surprisingly, approached me the next morning. Her voice was quiet, almost ashamed. Mark, I know I can't take back the years of lies, but I want to try to make things right. I'll help with Mom and Dad. I'll try to be honest from now on. I studied her for a long moment, the memories of betrayal still fresh in my mind. Then I nodded. Lisa, that's a start. Actions matter more than words. We'll see how things go. She seemed relieved, but I could tell she understood the weight of her past actions. That week, I began noticing subtle changes. Lisa actually helped around the house without making a show of it. She drove Mom to appointments, helped Dad with yard work, and even cooked meals. It wasn't perfect, and at times her pride got in the way, but for the first time, I saw glimpses of sincerity. Cousins and other relatives began commenting on the change. She's different now, they said. She's finally being honest. One day, Aunt Carol pulled me aside. "Mark, you did something incredible," she said, her voice full of emotion. "Not just showing the truth, but showing patience. Most people would have exploded long before this. You've set an example of integrity and compassion. The family sees it." I nodded quietly, letting her words sink in. For years, I had carried the burden of being misunderstood, of being painted as the selfish child. Finally, people could see who I really was. Then came a moment that truly solidified the shift. Lisa accidentally dropped a letter she had written, one of those private, emotional notes that you hope no one sees. I picked it up and read it later with Mom and Dad. She had written about her fear, her jealousy, and how ashamed she was of lying for so long. It was raw, honest, and vulnerable. "I was wrong," she wrote. "I see now what I did. Mark never deserved this. I want to make amends, not just say sorry." Mom cried quietly, and even Dad's usually stoic face softened. That night, the family sat together for the first time in months without tension, without unspoken accusations. We laughed, shared stories, and even joked about small past arguments. Lisa apologized again in front of everyone, and this time, her sincerity was unmistakable. The room felt lighter, filled with relief, warmth, and the quiet satisfaction that truth had finally prevailed. I thought back to all the moments I had endured, the whispers, the false accusations, the frustration of being misunderstood. It had been exhausting and heartbreaking, but looking around the room, seeing my parents smiling, seeing relatives finally acknowledging the truth, I realized something important. Justice isn't always immediate. Sometimes it takes patience, perseverance, and courage to stand by the truth. But when it comes, it feels more powerful than anything else. Lisa eventually became more consistent in her actions. She still struggled at times, slipping into old patterns, but she owned up quickly, apologized, and made amends. The family began trusting her again, but now, her respect had to be earned honestly. It was a hard lesson, but one she finally learned. For me, life returned to a calmer rhythm. I continued helping Mom and Dad, taking care of them without expecting recognition. But now, there was acknowledgement, warmth, and trust. And that made all the difference. I realized that being right isn't about winning arguments. It's about integrity, perseverance, and doing what's right, even when no one is watching. Weeks later, during a quiet evening, Mom whispered, "Mark, thank you for being our rock. You didn't just defend yourself, you defended us and the family." We see it all now. I felt a lump in my throat, the years of frustration and anxiety melting into something much sweeter: pride, relief, and peace. And Lisa? She never fully regained her old position of influence in the family. But that didn't matter. She had learned a hard lesson. Lies only provide temporary power, while truth builds lasting respect. Karma, patience, and honesty had finally prevailed. In the end, the family was stronger, closer, and more connected than ever before. The betrayal had tested us, but it also revealed who truly cared, who acted with integrity, and who would stand by what is right. And for me, after all the years of being misunderstood, falsely accused, and doubted, there was finally a sense of justice, quiet, powerful, and undeniable. The moral was simple, yet profound. Truth, patience, and integrity always find their way. Lies and manipulation might seem powerful in the moment, but they crumble under the weight of honesty. Family, respect, and trust are earned through action, not deceit. And once justice reveals itself, it has a way of bringing peace that no lie can ever replace.